Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel. So today, in order to celebrate the upcoming Halloween season and also for the book review that I'm about to do, I decided to get a little bit creative with some blood, and I'm not really sure if this looks like I just ate a tomato, but yeah, let's roll with this. I just hope that this doesn't go to my shirt because it's kind of falling here. I don't know if you can see it, but whatever. I'm terrible doing this kind of things. So let's just roll with that, shall we? So as I said previously, today I'm going to do another book review, another one for a book that I have read during the Empty Shelfie Readathon Spooky Shelfie edition, one that was on my TBR, thank God, and I'm almost over with my TBR, so I'm really happy about this. And so I decided to review this for you, partially because I know that a lot of people enjoy this book, and I enjoy this book thoroughly and really a lot during all of the book. And second of all, because the movie has nothing to do with the book and is and will probably be still one of my favorite movies of all time. So let's talk about that, shall we? So the book that I'm going to review, as you probably know for the thumbnail and for this thing here, is Dracula by Bram Stoker. And yes, it is the first time that I am reading this book, and I've watched the movie more than 10 times. So something's wrong with me that I'm only now reading this. And this was in my house. This is my mom's copy. And this was in my house for a while now. So what is wrong with me that I love this movie so much that I couldn't possibly pick up the freaking book? And I'm going to explain to you how during this review. And it was because everyone and their mothers kept telling me that this had nothing to do with the movie. And I was afraid that I would hate it for some reason and I would be thoroughly disappointed. I wasn't. Just to get that out of the way, I wasn't disappointed. Although, it does definitely has nothing to do with the movie, but I'm cool with that. I can live with that. So this is basically the story about 5 people that come together in order to defeat Count Dracula, that decides that he's gonna go to London instead of staying in Transylvania, where he belongs for some reason. It's not really clear why he's going to London. It's clear that he has this kind of plan, but you don't really know a lot about it because, surprise, Dracula is not your main character. The 5 people that unite to bring him down are your main character. So the fact that you have a book called Dracula and he's not your main character, that stands for something, guys. So if you're curious, go and read it. But now seriously, the plot focuses basically on these 5 people's journals, and those people, you are getting to know them throughout their journals and throughout other journals because they intertwine. And basically, the main journals are written by 3 people. Let's get real here. And the others just don't really write that much. Are they... Wait, I have to think about that one. I was wrong, your main character are 6 people. Sorry about that. But as I was saying, the main journal entries are only written by 3 of them that can be considered our main characters, and then the rest of the characters are known to you by the journals of those characters, if you understand what I'm saying. Also, Dracula is known to us from those journals and not because of anything that he does, and through some articles of some papers that come out on the time that this is set. And this is set, I believe, in Victorian London. So, pick this up. And obviously, you know this book because this is one of the most well-known Gothic classics ever, and it really is amazing, and I do love Gothic literature, and I really love this book. It is great. You only read in journal entries and sometimes paper entries, and you don't really read normal writing, so it's really, I really appreciate it. And yes, this is a movie cover, by the way, because this romance right here, spoiler alert for the book, it doesn't exist. So my little heart just was so sad when I read this, and I was like, oh, so there's no romance there. Okay, but it's still pretty cool. It's kind of terrifying sometimes. Dracula really is portrayed as an evil bad guy, like the real most badass vampire ever that just can kick ass and can control weather and can turn into a lot of animals and just turn people into dead people and yada yada. And he's really a badass. He doesn't have an origin story like in the movie. For those of you that have seen the movie, that origin story doesn't exist in here. He doesn't have a romance with anyone. He just wants, purely simple, to have his army of undead, like to create more undead people, and to just cause chaos and mayhem throughout London. That's what he wants. And it took him a while, but now he reached London. And this is a story of how those 6 people that I previously thought there were 5, because I forgot one of them, are coming together to try and defeat him because they know that he's a danger to society. And this is very interesting. I love the way that this is written. Bram Stoker writes really well. The fact is that the female characters in here, because most of the characters are male characters, which is kind of pretty normal for that time. The female characters are seen as weak, as normally in that time period of writing they were, but at the same time they are seen as key characters and as essence characters that actually know more than the male characters and that can actually move the plot forward. And I really enjoy that, actually. I think that was very visionary of Bram Stoker. As a girl, I really enjoy to see that female characters are not only depicted as the weak, swoony characters, but also as smart characters that can also solve some of the things in the book. So that was very interesting. And it kind of looked like I was reading kind of a detective novel, but mixed with some Victorian horror, because obviously the main characters are trying to find what and who Count Dracula is and how to defeat him. So obviously they have to do a lot of studying of his character, of what he does, of what is going on, and who he is, and it's really amazing. And you are introduced to some of the characters that helped shape other characters, or rather that helped shape the genre. For instance, Van Helsing is a character here, and he's the one that is called a professor and that knows more about what is going on in this world and what is going on with Count Dracula than the other characters. He's the one that introduces the problem of Count Dracula to them. And I think that's very interesting because obviously now we have Van Helsing movies, TV shows, and this kind of created that. I don't really know. I don't really want to lie about this, but I don't really know any mention to the character of Van Helsing before this book. I don't really believe that it exists, but if it does, please tell me, because I would like to study that, because he's an interesting character. All the characters here are pretty interesting. Obviously, they all have a very great moral compass, which I don't really know how it's possible, because you know my opinion about human nature and how we are not totally good or totally evil. But okay, even if they're not morally great characters, and if they are genuinely great characters and genuine heroes, I enjoyed it. It's kind of like you really want them to succeed in what they're doing, and you really get preoccupied with them, and it's really amazing. I really enjoyed reading this. So, this is as non-spoiler as I can get, and I'm just gonna go and say some things that are spoilery because I want to compare this with a movie. So, if you haven't read this book or watched the movie, please go away now, because I'm going to do some mentions, some discussions that I wanted to have about this. So, I hope that you pick up this book, because this book is entirely known throughout the entire world and people love it for some reason. I really adored it too. I do recommend it if you enjoy Gothic literature, if you like things in Victorian era of London, if you enjoy kind of sort of a little bit of horror in your detective stories. I think you will love this. This is all written in diary entries, so it's just the chapters go by so fast that you wouldn't believe. So just give it a try. It's really awesome. I really adored it. Go for it. It's really cool. So for those of you spoilery people that have watched the movie and have read the book, or that you just don't give a fuck about what I'm about to say, welcome to the next part of this video. And I'm going to put this down because I am really tired, because I've been holding this for almost 11 minutes. So, excuse me. So, the things that I want to talk about, firstly, as I mentioned, the fact that Count Dracula has no origin story whatsoever. Like, he's mentioned to be the greatest warrior of his time and of his race, but he doesn't really have like an origin story. Like, how did he turn into Count Dracula? It's not really mentioned. It is mentioned that sometimes some of these people would do this kind of strange rituals that could be counted as satanic rituals. But to jump from that to origin story, you don't jump from that. Like, just give me more about him. I just want to know. And this is getting really gross. Like, it really looks like I've been drinking blood. But that aside, first of all, that was my main, well, that was the only kind of disappointment that I had with this book, was that it didn't have an origin story. And Count Dracula appeared, like, what, 5 times in a 412-page book. So he's clearly not the main character, although everyone and their mother in this book talks about him. Like, literally everyone, and he's nowhere to be seen. He's just great. He's just like, he's kidding with them. He's just like, I don't give a fuck about you guys. Just you go and search about me because I know what I'm doing and I'm the best and I don't care about you guys. Obviously, that in the end goes terribly wrong. But still, I found interesting the plotline that he has with Mina, because in the movie, she's supposed to be the incarnation of his one true love that died because of him. And in here, she's nothing to him. She's just a plot to create more undead beings. And that was so sad, because I love that movie and I love that plot, and I know that I'm romantic as shit, but I just love it. And I was just so sad, like, oh, why can't they have a little moment? And then when everyone comes in and he's forcing her to drink his blood, and she's like pretty much just in a lethargic mode and she can't fight it, and I'm like, no, why? But then a little part of me said, oh, this is awesome. Kill him. Yeah, I was pretty divided there, but I was sad that there was no romantic plot, but at the same time, I just enjoyed how crude and awesome the entirety of this was, because they weren't afraid of grossing you out. Like, when they describe the crazy dude that I don't really remember his name, the one that the doctor was treating in the asylum, when they describe when he is like killed by Dracula, it's really gruesome. It's like his face is all filled with blood and he has this cut on his brain and they have to do a trepanation on his brain, and it's just so freaking crazy. And I was just, yes, blood, give me more gothic vibes. I was just enjoying it so much, so I'm really happy about that. Also, I'm really happy about the way that it was constructed, because the turning points from one diary to another were really on point, and you wouldn't miss anything. Like, you would know anything that happened in those small times, even if the people that were passing through those things weren't writing about it, because other people would pick it up. And I wasn't really sad when Quincy died at the end, because let's face it, he was not my favorite character of them all. He didn't appear as much, but he looked like a genuine cool guy and really loyal to his friends, so it was a little bit sad, but I couldn't tear up because I was like, yes, they killed Count Dracula, they're awesome. So I couldn't, the emotion just wasn't enough to make me cry. But I really enjoyed this. I kind of felt a little bit sad for Count Dracula because of the way that Mina talks about him, like he's a damned soul and he just wants peace in the end, like all of you. And I do believe that that's why the movie went so with the plot of having him have a tragic backstory and having him having a love story, so that in the end you could feel pity for him and know that the only thing that he wanted was peace in his life and rest, because this is what you get in the end of this novel, is that when he's being killed, he just slowly has this peaceful aura around him before he turns to dust. And I think, well, in the way that religion is seen in this book, as God being the Almighty and the one that we must trust above all, and that vampires are creatures of Satan, probably that compels you to see Count Dracula as a poor, unfortunate soul, which I'm normally on the vampire side of things, but this was so well written that I kind of, and Count Dracula only appeared so little times and always to do harm, that I was like, yeah, okay, let's kill the bitch. So yeah, I was really on the human side this time, which is very sad, actually. I'm really sad about that. But that's pretty much all that I wanted to talk about, I think. Oh no, I enjoyed how the asylum scenes were made, because they were really good. In the movie that I remember of, we don't really have a why that dude is locked up. Well, he's crazy. He's considered crazy. It's okay. But we don't have a why is he connected with the whole story kind of thing. Like, what is he doing there? Why he is Dracula, his master. And in the book, everything is so well explained. Like the fact that Dracula promised him that he would achieve the way of life that he wanted. He would master life, and that Dracula would give him animals, because he believed that how many animals he ate, how more lives he would have. And that's really amazing. And the way that they explore being insane in Victorian era, obviously for me as a psychologist, is interesting to read right now, because I know that it's not that right, but it's really interesting to see some of the conclusions that the doctor reaches when he's treating that patient, and I really enjoyed watching that, so that for me was really cool. So apart from that, I have nothing else to say. If you've read this book, talk to me down in the comments, tell me what you think. I hope that you enjoy my little review discussion of the thing. I know it wasn't perfect, but I really wanted to talk about this book and I didn't know what to say, because there are so many thoughts on my head. I just finished it today and I was so freaking happy to have read this finally, and I loved this book. So, and I wanted to say that I'm still gonna watch the movie and still gonna love that movie, because that movie is awesome. But apart from that, I love this book. So that is all for today, guys. If you like this video, leave a like or subscribe. Tell me something down below about this book. If you're going to buy it, if you're going to read it, if you've read it, if you love it, if you agree that it's one of the best gothic classics ever. What do you think about it? What do you think about the characters, if you know the characters? And yeah, that is all for me today. So happy readings to you all. Bye!